how wide can you build your tiny house? Well, the answer ultimately depends on how wide you want to build it. But I'm going to answer a couple common questions that people are asking about building wider tiny houses. So the most common width that people choose, or the most common popular width, is 8.5 feet wide. So that is the legal limit. You can build your tiny house if you don't want to deal with permits. So 8.5 feet wide, which is 102 inches. If you want to be at that legal limit of 102 inches when you travel down the road, I would choose a deck width of 98 inches for the trailer. That allows siding and trim to have the complete house at 102 inches wide. That's a very popular width if you don't want to deal with permits. But really, the most people are not traveling with their tiny houses often at all. Many people do like less than one move a year, if that. So most people have, since 2016, it is growing. Most people are doing tiny houses that are 10 feet and wider. Now, the deal with the 10 feet wide trailers is you do have to deal with a permit. That permit in like California is $14. It ranges for most states from $14 to $55. I think the highest state is Ohio, which is like $70 when you do the permit. So that just covers the permit to move it. If you're, planning on being permanently temporary and not moving your tiny house that much, this is a great way to go because this is what most people do. So 10 feet wide tiny houses, that permit really covers a house all the way up to like 11 feet 11. If you hit that mark of 12 feet, you do have to have pilot cars. So you only need the permit if it's anything below that, 8.5 feet wide up to 11.11. It's just a permit. If you hit that 12-foot mark, you do have to have pilot cars. That really jumps up the cost of transportation a lot. So it's not as common that people do it. But the fact is we build so many 12 feet wide tiny houses. And by 12, I see like 11 feet 10, 11 feet 11, 11 feet 6. So that category of tiny houses is incredibly popular. We constantly have these trailers on order. The most popular trailer this year that we have on order is 40 feet by 12 feet wide, which is technically 11 feet 10. So a lot of our customers will maximize that square footage on the trailer aspect. For instance, they chose 11 foot 10 for the trailer, but when they build the house, it is going to be over 12 feet. But the transportation from our factory to where the tiny house is going to be built, they save a ton on shipping. And then the final, where the tiny house is going to be built to the final resting place for that house is just a couple hours. So it's not really that big deal in that aspect to just be a little bit over 12 and do that, pilot car aspect. So it really kind of, I would say, depends on your end goal for the house. If you are planning on traveling regularly with the tiny house, 8 feet wide is a really good, width to stick with. You don't have to deal with permits, but the reality is like less than 1% of people travel with their tiny houses. Most people are doing 10 feet and 12 feet. The beauty of those, it's really easy. All of our transporters regular are hauling 10 and 12 feet tiny houses. They have experiences doing it. And when you get a trailer from us or you do a build with us, you get lifetime consulting. So we have customers that reach out to us 5-6 years later and be like, hey, I need to move my house. Like, do you have a shipper? What's the process? And we kind of guide them through it and just, set up the calls, set up the transportation. It's a really easy process. It's nothing to get overwhelmed about, because the interior space makes all the difference in the world. This is our, 10-foot wide tiny house bedroom. Just sitting in the middle of the house. This is our office. There's the living room tiny house. 10 feet wide and wider just makes all the difference in the world. Take it from us. We've been living in our tiny house for 11 years. And finally, that was 8.5 feet wide. And finally retired it when we got the bedroom unit here. And now we have two 10 feet wide tiny houses. It just makes all the difference in the world. So don't be overwhelmed by it. We have a lot of articles and resources on our website at tinyhousebasics.com, a little website right there, that talk a lot about should you do a 10 and 12 feet wide tiny house? What are the pros and cons? We should talk about the permits, show what those permits look like, that process of going through it. And if you have any additional questions, you could always reach out to us, and just know that we'll always be here for you to help you throughout that process, whether when you're starting your building or years afterwards. we're that resource for you to help you guide you and make your build successful. So hope that helps answer a couple questions, and we'll see you guys next time.